The story that I'm going to be talking about today is something that has happened in the past that still kind of defines the way that I live my life now in the present. This story took place the summer between my sophomore and junior year in high school. I remember that summer being really eventful. I had a lot of friends, I was hanging out all the time, I had a really nice job, I was on my way to getting my license, so it was just a really good summer for me. And one day in that summer, I was going to hang out with a really good friend of mine. We were going to a family dinner, so she had come and picked me up. We got there, we ate, we hung out with her family for a little bit, had a really good time, and then it was time for her to drive me home. So we're driving home, and I just kept getting this really sick feeling in my stomach, like something bad was gonna happen, and I just kept hearing a voice in my head, something bad is gonna happen, something bad is gonna happen. But I didn't know what to think of it, so I just kept trying to ignore it. I just kept trying to tell myself, just wait till you get home, wait till you get home, you're gonna be okay, like everything's gonna be fine. And so I remember we got to this red light, and I closed my eyes just trying to make the feeling go away. And this part happened so fast that I can barely remember it, but I remember closing my eyes and just sitting there for a second, and the next thing I know is I heard this really loud bang, and then the car just started spinning and turning, and it just kept moving further and further sideways. And it took a good moment for the car to stop, but when the car stopped, I opened my eyes and I just kind of looked around a little bit, and all the windows were smashed and all the doors were crushed in. And oddly enough, the radio still worked. It was as if I was stuck in a bad dream and I couldn't get myself out of it. And I tried to open my door and it wouldn't open, and I went and I turned to her and she was just staring off into the distance. And so I was just shaking her, and I was like, Annabelle, what, like, are you okay? What's going on? Are you okay? And it still hadn't really like clicked in my head that we had been in a car accident. And so I'm just kind of just looking around, trying to open the door, trying to kind of shake her out of her trance. And so finally she kind of just comes out of it, and she's trying to open her door, and neither of the doors are opening. So we start to kind of freak out because we don't even know. I can't find my phone, she can't find her phone, we can't get out the car. But luckily, there was a fire truck right across the street from where we crashed, and so they came right over, and they started pulling on all the doors trying to see if we could get out. And luckily the back doors were still working. I have no clue how. And so they opened one of the back doors, and so then we just climbed out the back. um, Luckily, we both survived, no major injuries, just a little bit of whiplash, some cuts, some lacerations, but for the most part, we were both okay. Um, it turns out that when she turned right from that red light, and she just wasn't paying as much attention as she thought she was. She turned right into the backside of an 18-wheeler truck, and it just completely knocked us all the way across the street. But um, one thing that has taught me is to always listen to myself, because sometimes I second guess myself. But in that moment, if I would have just listened to myself and maybe even said something, or we had pulled over for a couple of minutes, we might have not have even been in that situation in the first place. But that was a really traumatizing event for me, and it still affects me to this day. I'm still very cautious of who I get into a car with. I rarely let friends drive me, or people that I'm not really comfortable with drive me. I don't drive unless I absolutely have to. That happened the summer between my sophomore year and my junior year. I refused to get my license and get back behind the wheel of a car until my senior year, when I absolutely had to drive myself to school. So I'm still getting over it. It's still something that I'm working on till this day, being able to drive without the anxiety of feeling like I'm going to get into a car accident. But that's something that happened in my past that still affects me in the present.